talk to us about this new fuel. I know that we've gone to E5 to E10 and ethanol. This is not that, right? You and your team are trying to develop an entirely new type of fuel from either biomass or just garbage, basically. Talk to us about it and where you stand right now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This goes beyond the sort of ethanol, the E10, the things like that. And it's part of what we announced in 2019. This isn't a new thing. This is part of our really very ambitious sustainability strategy, where, as you say, we want to be net zero carbon by 2030. So as part of that, we are introducing more ethanol into the fuels from next year. But the really exciting thing, as you said, is this fully sustainable synthetic fuel. And this is going to be a drop-in fuel. It's a sort of fuel you can use in any vehicle. And, the 2 billion cars that are out there at the moment, somehow we have to get them carbon neutral. And this is our attempt at showing how this could be done.
Yeah, and you're working with Aramco, obviously, Saudi Aramco, the biggest oil producer in the world, at least as a company goes. And there's probably a lot of people, Pat, as you can imagine, right now watching this around the world, kind of rolling their eyes, saying, okay, here's an oil and gas company trying to build this new fuel. But I think everybody sort of gets it, right, is that we're a long way from 100% electric around the world. That's going to take decades, if ever. We've got to figure this out now. And Formula One has led the world in product innovation that eventually ends up on people's car that they buy at home.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. This is nothing new. Formula One has led this sort of innovation because racing is about efficiency. It's something we've always been into. And I find it very refreshing, both as an engineer and as someone who's passionate about our environment, that a company like Aramco is fully on board and really helping us in this sustainability journey that we're on. Yes, they do produce oil, but they do have this ambition to really produce these synthetic fuels that really we feel are a way to the future. Because, as you say, the electric vehicle has a place in society, and we're certainly not in Formula One. We're not anti-electric in any way whatsoever. We see the need for it. But equally, there are many aspects of transport where you really need a very, very high energy density. And what I mean by that is you need a lot of power and you need it in a relatively light weight. And it's not just in cars, it's in trains, it's in heavy goods vehicles, it's in aircraft. And this is the sort of technology that we're really trying to develop.
Yeah, and ships as well. Again, you think about all the ships on the sea, all the airplanes out there. At some point, there may be an electric alternative. We are decades and decades away, certainly, from that. Talk to us while we got you, Pat, because this season, by the way, is one of the best that F1 has ever had. I mean, I'm thinking back to James Hunt and Niki Lauda in the 70s and some of those epic battles with Jackie Stewart. We'll forget about the 90s and the 2000s. What is the car of the future going to look like? You talked about getting smaller, maybe a little bit lighter. Where does sort of this whole fuel push factor into that? Do you see a much smaller gas tank in the car?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just about having a sustainable fuel. It's about efficiency as well. So while we will have a fuel that is effectively carbon neutral or very, very low carbon, we really want to use less of it as well. So we're pushing the efficiency, and part of that is making cars smaller, lighter, making the engines more efficient. I mean, already in Formula One, we have the world's most efficient small internal combustion engine by a long, long way. We convert the energy that's in the fuel at over 50%, around 52% of that energy is used to drive the car. Now, the cars you drive on the road are in the 30s, the low 30s, so we're a long way ahead of the marketplace at the moment, but we want to push that even further.
Yeah, and you got the 2022 car coming out. You got over-wheel winglets and things like that. Without getting too technical, our U.S. audience is literally just waking up, Pat, having a cup of coffee. What's going to be the biggest difference to the car of next year versus the cars this year?
Well, although we're having a fantastic season, we've got some really close racing this year, we still get the drivers complaining that because the aerodynamics on the car is so intense, it's very difficult to follow another car. So it's very difficult to race against the car. So, with a NASCAR, for example, you see lots of drafting, you see the cars very close together. That's very difficult in Formula One. So we've been on a now 4-year research program of really understanding the aerodynamics of the following car rather than just the performance of the leading car. And we've produced a set of regulations for 2022 that we hope will allow the cars to race much closer together. Now, you could say, yeah, we're having a great season. They are racing close together. But I think we can get even better. In Formula One, we're never satisfied.
Yeah.
We always want to do something better. And I believe in 2022, we've got a much better car for racing, for entertainment, and something our fans will really enjoy.